with my college football schedule preview and point spread prediction videos today. I'll be doing the Missouri Tigers. So Missouri gets 3 guaranteed wins in the non-conference schedule against Central Arkansas, Louisiana, and Massachusetts. But the Kansas game is going to be a tough one. It's a very losable game for Missouri because there was not near as much of a difference, I don't think, between Missouri and Kansas last year as you would think there would be from looking at their records. And Kansas returns Jalen Daniels at quarterback, who's a dual threat. And while he didn't have as good of a season last year as he was expected to. He still can be uh, good, and that he's one of the most experienced quarterbacks in college football. And while Missouri has no guaranteed wins in the conference, Mississippi State would be the one conference game that I would feel very confident in Missouri winning. And Vanderbilt should be a win for Missouri, but it wouldn't surprise me if they lost that one. And Missouri's conference schedule is one of the easier ones, uh, but it's still tough because they do have to play Alabama, who is going to be a preseason top 10 team most likely. But it's easier than most SEC schedules because they do avoid Georgia and Texas and Ole Miss. And Missouri's ceiling, I would say, is probably 9-3. And Missouri's first bye week, I think, comes at a bad time because it comes right before Alabama, which is the game that I would give Missouri the least chance of winning because Missouri is at 0-5 against Alabama since they've joined the SEC. And while there are no games on Missouri's schedule where I would say they have a 0% chance of winning. Alabama would be pretty close to it. And Alabama shut out Missouri last year, and Alabama returned 7 starters on defense. And while I know Missouri didn't have Brady Cook at quarterback against Alabama last year, they're not going to have him this year either. And Missouri's going to have a inexperienced quarterback like Alabama will this year, and Missouri's new quarterback is not going to have near as good of a offensive line or wide receiver room to lean on as Alabama's new quarterback will. And I'm not saying Missouri's head coach Eli Drinkwitz is a bad coach. Or that Alabama's Kalen DeBoer is a great coach, but I think that Kalen DeBoer is a better coach than Drinkwitz is. And Missouri's second bye week, I would say, comes at an okay time before Texas A&M because that's a game that it wouldn't be shocking if Missouri won, but A&M is probably the second most talented team on Missouri's schedule. Even though I know Texas A&M a lot of times doesn't play to their talent level, they sure did against Missouri last year, beating them by over 30 points. Texas A&M does have a lot more talent than Missouri does, so I think it would have been better to have had that bye week before Vanderbilt or before Auburn and Alabama, and then on the road at Auburn is probably the toughest two in a row on Missouri's schedule because Alabama is going to be a good team, and Auburn, even though they may not be a good team, they usually play like a good team when they're at home. They almost always play good defense when they're at home. And even though Missouri has to play two road games in a row against Auburn and Vanderbilt, it is nice that Vanderbilt is one of them because they're the easiest place to play in the SEC. Vanderbilt's really about the same team at home as they are on the road. And it's nice that even though it will be tough for Missouri to end the season with two road games in a row, that the second one is against Arkansas because that's a game that I would give Missouri a very good chance of winning because Missouri is 9-2 against Arkansas since they joined the SEC, and even though I've kind of been hyping up Arkansas's offense, uh, Arkansas does have to replace their best offensive player from last season, wide receiver Andrew Armstrong, and it's not all bad news for Missouri this season. They did have the sixth ranked transfer portal group, and they did get one really good wide receiver from the portal, Kevin Coleman from Mississippi State. But Missouri's game against Oklahoma, a concerning part of that for Missouri would be that uh, Jackson Arnold against them last year only had 74 yards passing. And if it hadn't have been for Missouri's two really good wide receivers, Luther Burden and Theo Weiss, that they lose this year, Missouri still would have lost that game. And while Missouri's defense did play a little better last year than I thought it would, Oklahoma's new quarterback, John Matera, is no doubt going to at least get 200 something yards at passing in this game. And Oklahoma's defense has upgraded the coaching with Brent Venables taking over the play calling because he's for sure a top five defensive coordinator in the country. And starting the SEC schedule against South Carolina is going to be a tough one for Missouri because South Carolina has got some really good athletes. Their quarterback, Lenoris Sellers, even though he's known more for his running abilities, he's a pretty good passer too. And Nick Harbor at wide receiver, I think, is going to have a breakout year for South Carolina. And Dylan Stewart on the defensive line is going to be one of the best defensive players in the country. So now up for the point spread prediction. Games in the green are games where I think Missouri will be favored to win by a blowout at 20 or more points, and there's three of those at Central Arkansas, Louisiana, and Massachusetts. And games in the blue are games where I think Missouri will be favored to win by double digits at 10 to 19 points, and there's one of those Mississippi State games in the purple are games where I think they'll be favored to win by about a touchdown, 6 to 9 points, and there's one of those at Kansas, and games in the pink are games where I think they'll be favored to win by about a field goal, 1 to 5 points, and there's one of those at Vanderbilt. Games in the gray are games where I think Missouri will be about a field goal underdog, and there's five of those: South Carolina, Auburn, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. And games in the yellow are games where I think Missouri will be about a touchdown underdog, and there's one of those at Alabama. So Central Arkansas, Missouri should be favored in that one by about 45 points. They're an FCS team. And Louisiana is one of the better group of five teams. So The spread in that one may only be like 3 touchdowns. And Massachusetts, they're horrible. Missouri should be favored in that one by about 40 points. And Alabama, it wouldn't be surprising if that one ends up in orange when it comes time for it to be played. But I'll say Alabama will be a 9 point favorite against Missouri. And Vanderbilt, I think Missouri will be favored by about 3 in that one, but it wouldn't be shocking if they were an underdog. And Mississippi State, Missouri should be favored by about 10 points in that one. And Kansas, the spread in that one should be 6 or 7 points. And South Carolina, the spread in that one will probably just be 1 point. And Auburn, that one's just in the grave because it's on the road. Missouri would be favored if they were at home, I think. And I think the spread will probably just be like a point. And Texas A&M, I think, will be favored by like 3 over Missouri, and Oklahoma will probably be favored by 2 or 3 points against Missouri, and Arkansas. That one's just in the gray because it's on the road. It'd be in the pink if it was a home game, but the spread will probably just be like a point. So that will be it with this video. Please subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon.